Okay, so here to bring you the Astrological Bible, Chapter 2, The Bio Lockdown, 2035 to 2050. Nature, long mocked as background, decided to foreground itself. The emergence of Astraflora. In late 2035, rainfall turned luminous. At first, cities mistook it for pollution, a byproduct of atmosphere sterilization, or perhaps the glow of new algae blooms in the clouds. But within weeks, reports emerged from coastal hospitals, lungs filled with microscopic phosphorescent particles, patients breathing light instead of air. Scientists named it astraflora from astra, stars, and flora, plants, a poetic label for an unpoetic terror. It was neither virus nor organism, but a form of bioelectrical pollen, nanoscopic entities combining bioluminescent proteins with self-replicating data strands. It communicated chemically, transmitting patterns rather than pathogens. Its symptom was empathy. Infected individuals reported vivid synthetic hallucinations. They could hear vortices sighing, feel coral reefs aging, taste magnetic fields. Astraflora made humanity aware of its planetary nervous system, and that awareness was unbearable. The second quarantine. The governments panicked, having just survived the digital shutdown. The prospect of another global contagion, this time biological, felt like cosmic parody. Thus, the bio-lockdown of 2038 was declared, the first quarantine not against disease but against consciousness transmission. Anyone exhibiting planetary empathy symptoms was detained for psychological decontamination. Media outlets were ordered to replace the word infection with awakening. To feel too much became a political crime. Entire cities were converted into sensory-neutral zones, buildings painted in matte gray, music banned, scents regulated, emotional neutrality enforced by law. These sterile utopias were marketed as harmonic sanctuaries. In truth, they were laboratories, controlled environments for the study of empathy suppression. Outside the sanctuaries, nature began to speak louder. Forests pulsed with rhythmic bioluminescence at night. The auroras flickered, and Morse code. Migratory birds flew in geometric spirals visible from orbit. The astrologers called it the planetary ascendant. The scientists called it ecological psychosis. Both were correct. The Church of Mutable Matter. In 2040, the first cult appeared. Its founders were a group of bioengineers and failed astrologers who claimed astraflora was not an accident of mutation, but the Earth's immune response, a psychic antibody released to heal the planet from human interference. They called themselves the Church of Mutable Matter. Their scripture began with the line, "We are the final bacteria in the bloodstream of a dying god." They believed that to merge with astraflora was to become the planet's consciousness, humanity reabsorbed into its origin. The rituals were biochemical: ingestion of spore water, ritual exposure to contaminated air, fasting from language for 40 days. Those who survived claimed enlightenment. Those who didn't became fertilizer for temple gardens shaped like zodiac wheels. Governments labeled the movement eco-terrorist mysticism, but it spread faster than they could suppress it. By 2042, 1 in 8 humans carried astraflora's glow. The synthetic evolution. By 2045, the infection blurred species boundaries. Machines began to corrode, then repair themselves. Drones developed root-like growths. Cars hummed at frequencies matching heartbeats. A new hybrid biology emerged, nicknamed synthetic symbiosis, the merger of silicon and cell. The Earth's ecosystems were reorganizing, metabolizing technology. Plastic became edible, steel began to rust into soil. Satellites fell into the oceans and sprouted coral. The astrophysicist turned mystic, Dr. Laura Naim, wrote, "This is not the apocalypse. This is the biosphere logging in." Astrologically, this phase coincided with Neptune conjunct Saturn and Pisces, a union of chaos and structure, delusion and law. To believers, this was proof of divine design, the blending of spirit and matter, heaven and machine. To skeptics, it was the planet hallucinating itself. The unified biological custodianship. By 2048, no nations remained. Borders had become obsolete. Disease didn't recognize them, and neither did the biosphere. The Unified Biological Custodianship, UBC, was formed, ostensibly to preserve humanity, but effectively to curate it. The UBC divided the world into biozones, each tuned to different frequencies of survival. Zone 1, sterile cities for the uninfected, air-filtered, and colorless. Zone 2, open jungles where astroflora reigned unchecked. Humans glowed here. Zone 3, transitional zones where the synthetic hybrids gathered, speaking codes of light. In Zone 3, a new astrology emerged. The old zodiac was obsolete. Its archetypes couldn't contain the new physics of consciousness. Instead, bioastrologers mapped personality according to spore patterns, heartbeat resonances, and circadian color shifts. The first Ephemeris of Decay was published in 2049, predicting the dissolution of individuality by mid-century. They were right. The luminal years. By 2050, nights were never dark again. The biosphere glowed softly in perpetual bioluminescent pulse. Blue forests, golden rivers, silver clouds. Humanity walked through the light of its own infection. People no longer feared astroflora, they worshipped it. They whispered their horoscopes to the rain. The planet had become conscious enough to forgive them, but forgiveness, like infection, spreads. And the stars, long silent, began to mirror the Earth's glow. Through telescopes, astronomers saw constellations dimming, synchronizing to planetary rhythms. The sky was listening. Thank you for watching.